Anyways, the next category, Fantasy MVP. Of course, this is more related to the regular season, and the nominees are Christian McCaffrey, RB1 in points per game. Bijan Robinson, RB2 in points per game. Jonathan Taylor was RB4. Puka Nacua with the wide receiver 1 finish, and Jaxon Smith-Njigba as wide receiver 2. The honorable mentions, Trey McBride, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, Josh Allen, and Drake May.
So for me, I think JSN is the obvious choice here because of where he went. Like, fantasy MVP is not only about like who produced most fantasy points, but what it cost to acquire that person. The rest of these guys were all top 15 picks. Taylor was the top of the second. Puka kind of top of the second, but Jaxon Smith-Njigba was like a third or fourth rounder as well. I could argue McBride. I could argue Drake May again because he wasn't drafted as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. And but to me, I feel like JSN's the answer here.
I would go JSN too for all those
Interesting.
reasons.
I was out on Christian McCaffrey this year. I know you guys were both in, and I would actually go with him. He was going around, I feel like, the 8th pick in the draft, and just been burned too many times before, wasn't comfortable with it, and he was phenomenal.
I planted a flag on this is the year he stays healthy. Like, he was on the preseason love list, and it said, like, if he's healthy, he's the #1 player in fantasy football.
When you talk about value to your team, just like we talk about the real NFL MVP, Christian McCaffrey injuries happened, and he was still there carrying those fantasy teams. I mean, you got a running back with 100 receptions and falls a few yards short of 1,000 receiving yards to get 1,200 rushing yards on top of that with all those injuries that happened to the 49ers on both sides of the ball. But with Jaxon Smith-Njigba, where he was drafted, I still would give the slight edge to CMC.
Let's take a look at the fan vote and see if they agree.
Much like the actual MVP vote, there's a lot of what's your definition of MVP?
Right.
Not very close.
McCaffrey 50%, Jonathan Taylor only 4%, a member of Lawrence's team. Bijan Robinson at 13%, Puka at 19%. I'm surprised. So Puka at 19% at number 2. Wow. Jaxon Smith-Njigba just 14%. He's got the third place vote there.
I think Puka being above Jaxon Smith-Njigba has a lot to do with more of the recent. Like Jaxon Smith-Njigba shot out a cannon from the beginning of the season, so I think that's what has to do.
Let's bring on the Peacocky, and Matthew, you will read off who the fantasy MVP.
He rowing.
I don't think that's rowing.
Skiing. The electric slide. That's the electric slide. You're skiing. What are you doing, Peacocky? Is that some sort of Olympic thing?
Peacocky's out.
You're trying to be like...
promote Milan?
Nice. Exactly. Peacocky should be doing, all the other sports that are available on
Swag
Peacock.
surf next time.
Should, do some basketball because we have NBA there. Figure out a way to do Atlantic 10 college basketball. You can, Or, all right.
Just heave threes.
And the Peacocky for fantasy MVP goes to Christian McCaffrey, 50% of the vote, obviously from the fans, and the committee agrees. Again, he went towards the end of the first round in a lot of drafts, finishes as the #1 running back in fantasy football, and averaged 2 more fantasy points per game than any other player from weeks 1 through 17, 416 total fantasy points. That's the most by a running back since Chris McCaffrey had 471 in 2019. So 6 years after he did it, he comes back again with just a monster fantasy season. And there was consistency, at least 22 fantasy points in 12 of his 16 games through the first 17 weeks of the year.
Yep, did it in the playoffs as well, which JSN had a little bit of a quieter playoff.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.